okay? It is possible. Please, please, right now, uncuck your dumb shit, lip-cuck fucking SJW brains and recognize this empirically correct fact that I am about to spit. It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
So, once again, another questionable clip from Vaush has come out. And typically when these clips come out, I try to give the most charitable take on it, just because I feel like it just presents a more interesting conversation. But I don't blame people for going mask off and saying that Vaush is like crazy, creepy, insane or something. I think he kind of asked for people to have that take of him when there's like 10,000 clips of Vaush giving a hot take on like CP and stuff like that. But just know, for the sake of argument, I decided to be ultra charitable with how I interpreted this tweet from Vaush, and that's exactly what we take a look at in the clip today. We take a look at the full clip in context, and I give my commentary over it. So without further ado, enjoy the video.
Between rule and act utilitarianism. So under act utilitarianism, you want
All right, listen to this. It's going to take a minute for him to get to it, but I promise it's worth it.
to judge actions by the consequences that act will have for society. Under rule utilitarianism, you want to judge the ethics of actions based on the rules that they would enable for society at large. So let me give you an example, okay? Here, I'll give you an example. So, is it ethical for parents to for teachers to sleep with their students? Well, the answer general is like no, sort of. But why is that? Well, most of the time, it's because it's an exploitative power imbalance that allows one party to exploit the other. That's a bad meme. It's bad shit. However, there are conceivably instances that a person could think of, not even super unlikely ones, mind you, where the outcomes, the consequences of such a interaction are actually net beneficial. Maybe the student has really low self-esteem and they're suicidal, not very unlikely in schools these days. And their relationship with the teacher is affirming and gives them a sense of self-worth that makes them feel more actualized and socially proficient in the future. That's not even like super unreasonable. Bad take? No, not at all. That's an entirely conceivable thing to do. However, it is still good to be against students and teachers sleeping together as a rule, because even if an individual act of such is morally fine, the consequences aren't that bad, or even good, even if that is the case, as a rule, it is bad for society. Essentially, rule utilitarian.
Okay, so what he's talking about here, in case you don't know what he means, is he's saying that bad things can still have good, results, basically, is what he's saying. So, teachers fucking their students is generally a bad thing, but it can have good consequences, right? So for instance, think about Tommy. I'm gonna use Tommy C as an example, right? Do you guys remember that story Tommy C always tells where he fucking banged his teacher when he was 15 and the teacher was 25 or something? This is bad, right? But you're never gonna convince Tommy C that was a bad thing, because in Tommy C's mind, he's like, yeah, I slayed 25-year-old puss when I was 15. I'm a Chad. I'm awesome. That's what Tommy C is always gonna think. So from his perspective, a good thing took place there. But, I mean, objectively, that's not a good thing, right? So that's what he's talking about so far. However, the take gets a lot more weird in a second.
Rule utilitarianism exists to prevent specific contexts from being too great of an invalidating factor when considering the morality of actions that are, under other circumstances, generally quite harmful. However, frankly, the line between rule utilitarianism and act utilitarianism is pretty subjective, because it depends on where you draw that line, Like, let me give you, like, it depends on how specific you sort of assert the existence of those rules, or with what degree of specificity. So, for example, is lying bad? Well, as a, you know, like, deontologically, no, you know, it depends on the consequences.
Okay,
However,
we get the take. Lying is generally bad, but sometimes there's instances where lying is like a more positive thing to do. Like if somebody you like does something for you that you're not crazy about, but you lie and you say, "Oh, thank you for that so much," you know, because you don't want to like piss them off. We get it. All right.
if it's minors, that's rape, dude. No shit.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Maybe I fast forwarded too soon. Hold on.
Honesty begets better results. However, dude, those fucking fire orbs are like heat-seeking. For clarification, was I talking about college-age students? No, I meant like high school students. These are like heat-seeking orbs. Holy shit.
We're about to talk about pedophilia again, aren't we?
Oh, then bad take? No. Well, oh, okay. All right, wait, hold on. I see that the point that I've been trying to make has been sort of obfuscated by people not understanding. If it's minors, that's rape, dude? No shit. Oh, no. Oh, no. We have to talk about ethics. Okay.
I love, my favorite thing about breadtubers is when they give like an extraordinarily hot take, the chat reacts negatively, obviously, and then the streamer's like, I guess I have to fucking elaborate. You know, like they act annoyed that they have to elaborate like an extremely hot and controversial take as if they weren't, as if they, you know, they should have expected that to happen, right? If you're going to give a take that good things can come out of, you know, adult teachers fucking underage students, like, obviously you're going to have to clarify that one a little bit because most people are going to listen to that and be like, what? Actually, no, that's not a good thing. So, like, I just love when they act surprised they have to clarify, you know? They're like, fuck me. Wow, chat is just so beneath me. They're so stupid. I have to act, I can't believe this. I have to clarify. Wow. It's like the funniest like phenomenon to me ever, really.
High schoolers are minors? Yeah, no shit? What the fuck? Well, yeah? Vaush, I think the possession of CP is morally neutral. Am I wrong? No, that's my take. You said high school age kids? Yes! Do I have to go over this again? Okay, so...
Again?
Why is it wrong to have sex with young people? Well, because generally, under most circumstances, it begets bad outcomes, okay? Are you gonna come to me if I have the fairy mask on? Please come. I want the health. Don't do this stupid you guys misunderstood bullshit. Oh, it's not that you guys misunderstood. I just think that this is very dumb for you to misunderstand this point. It's not like you guys misunderstood. It's just like this is embarrassing. Okay, look, this is super duper simple, okay? Act utilitarianism is about considering the consequences of a specific action, okay? It is possible, please right now, uncuck your dumb shit libcuck fucking SJW brains.
All right, here we go.
And recognize this empirically correct fact that I am about to spit. It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
And there's the clip. That's where everyone listens to this and is like, okay, dude. All right. Fuck you. Let me back that one up again and give my thoughts.
Fucking SJW brains. And recognize this empirical...
Also, again, I love, like, the tone at which he says this, right? So, he opens up, you know, before he drops this, like, nuclear scalding hot take, right? He says, like, recognize this and open your puny little libcuck brains and just say, and recognize this fact. Again, I love that he acts, like, pissed off that he has to explain this when, again, most people listening to this are going to go, what the fuck? Obviously, right? Empirically
correct fact that I am about to spit. It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible. However,
now, depending on what you consider a positive outcome, he could be correct, right? So again, going back to the Tommy C example, Tommy C thinks what happened was a positive outcome for him, right? Most people would say, well, no, that's not. And like objectively, it wasn't a positive outcome. But based on his perception, he would say it's a positive outcome, right? So under that, like depending on if somebody's own experience could view something as like a positive outcome, then he's correct, right? But I mean, nothing positive comes from an adult fucking a kid, obviously. Even if the kid liked it or enjoyed it, it's still not a positive outcome. The kid just thinks that it was a positive outcome, right? That's how I would say. Like, how I would reword Vaush's take is I would say it's possible for a bad thing to happen, and for the victim of the bad thing to think that they're not a victim and think that it's good. That's what's possible. It's still not a good thing that it happened. You know what I mean? That's how the take should have come off. But instead, it's like, no, good things can happen from adults fucking kids. It's possible. And it's like, well, okay, buddy. I don't know about that one. I don't know if I agree with that.
Categorically,
Wait, somebody in my chat says, I understand what he's trying to say, but he's framing it in a way that is technically not abuse. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to understand what he's trying to say if you apply like the utmost highest level of charity, which is what I'm doing just for the sake of, because the thing about these Vaush clips is that it's easy to watch a Vaush clip and just be like, lol, he's a fucking pedo. Lol, he just said this terrible thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna fucking bemoan anybody for doing that. I don't really think that that's like too unrational to, you know, I mean, I think saying he's a pedo is too far, but like to say that this clip is like just awful from every stretch of the imagination, you're right, it is. I'm not arguing with you and I'm not bemoaning that. But for me, it's a little bit more interesting to unpack what he's trying to say, just because I just think it makes for more interesting conversation. But I mean, yeah, objectively, the clip's terrible. And even when you apply the utmost charity to it, it's still questionable whether or not that's what he actually means, right? Because if he meant what I think he means, he would word it differently. But it's not. It's kind of like when Vito talks on Twitter and he's like, well, we understand that violating the law and having bad thoughts is different. It's like, well, what do you mean by we? Do you mean we as society, or do you mean we as pedophiles? Like, it creates this like stupid argument where it's like, how charitable do you even really want to be to this guy? Does this guy even deserve this level of charity? That's another question to ask, right? Like, why? Why should I be charitable to this guy when he has 10,000 fucking clips of him talking about how owning CP isn't, there's no legal or moral justification for making CP illegal? Because that's something that he said before too. And there's no explanation for that. But in that clip, his explanation is that he was baiting for content. So it's like, well, why should I be charitable to this guy if he's just admitting to like just saying shit that he doesn't even believe for content, or to bait people to debate him about it? Like, if you want to talk about like child labor and the ethics of that, talk about child labor. Why are you like making these clips where you're saying, you know, oh, fucking kids is fine, you know, when that's not actually your take? You're just saying that to be outrageous and get clipped so that people will be like, oh, I want to debate Vaush the pedo, and then they get into an argument and you trick them and it's actually an argument about child labor. Just talk about child labor. Why are you talking about this pedo shit, right?
Discourage those relationships because, as a rule, it is substantially more likely that enabling them would cause harm in society. That's the difference between act and rule utilitarianism. An act utilitarian would say, oh, this is an instance where it was good for the adult and the minor to have sex. That would make it a good action. But the rule utilitarian, which is what I am, would say, even though that individual outcome was good, the act was still bad because, in general, in a broader application, for adults and children to have sex with one another leads to horribly destructive outcomes. For that
the problem with past Vaush is that he used like pedophilia as like the anchor point to elaborate on like all of his opinions. And it's just such a stupid thing to use as like your anchor. He uses pedophilia as like a vehicle to express like very nuanced opinions on like massive topics. And what ends up happening is he gets fucking clipped. Everybody calls him a pedo, and I don't feel bad for him. You know, normally if somebody gets falsely called a pedo on the internet, it's like, well, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of, but in all these clips, he's practically begging for it because he uses like, he says wild shit as like the anchor point to establish like, let's talk about act and rule utilitarianism with pedophilia. You know, let's talk about child labor with pedophilia. You know, it's like, why use this topic? Like incest, as acid it is, it actually makes sense to use incest as like your anchor point on, well, I mean, why is incest wrong? You know, like, let's talk about this, right? Like, at least as crusty as it is, it makes a little bit more sense. But like pedophilia, like, you're just gonna get fucked. You're gonna get clipped and everyone's gonna think you're a fucking weirdo and nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. That's the problem.
It is an unethical act. So on the off chance it might help someone, we just allow everyone to engage in a generally destructive practice, except that's the literal exact opposite of what I am saying. Do you have fucking brainworms? By Fairy 79, I literally made the opposite of that point. I literally just explained the opposite of what you just said. That no, just because on the off chance it might help someone, we shouldn't categorize.
So this is also what Vaush does, right? He'll drop a spicy hot nuclear take, right? Good things can happen when an adult fucks a kid, right? So then chat's gonna naturally act disgusted and disturbed, and they're gonna push them back on it. Obviously, they're gonna be like, dude, what the fuck? But then Vaush is like, well, actually, I was explaining the inverse of what I actually think. You fucking idiot. You fucking stupid motherfucker in chat. I was actually explaining the exact opposite of what you heard. You are just too puny-brained to realize that I'm actually operating on the complete opposite end of the spectrum you thought I was on. It's like, okay, dude. How are you gonna get mad and act like chat is being unreasonable here when you just said what you said? Like, look, all right, yeah, we can put on our big boy goggles and try and parse together and figure out what you actually mean, but it's like, you can't really act surprised when chat's like, hey, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you saying, you know? It's just so funny, like, the level of, like, entitlement.
I support one action because I am a rule utilitarian. Why do you guys keep doing this? Some people's brains just turn off. Hyena, you did this too, but they're minors. My point was perfectly cogent from the beginning. Perfectly understandable from the word go. How do you think minor should be defined? I don't know. Age of consent memes are really fucking complicated. I keep thinking this could conceivably be alright in fringe cases, just feel like a useless argument. Yes, I agree, because I'm a rule utilitarian. Saying it could conceivably good in fringe cases isn't a good argument, because I am a rule utilitarian, which means that as a rule, I judge
you puny fool. I was actually debating the exact opposite of what I just said. Keep up, you fucking retard, you know? It's like... You can't get mad at people for this. This is unironically like breadtube, like brain rot, right? Where you think you're so full of yourself and so intelligent that anybody that dares challenge like the wildly insane things that you say is just an idiot, you know? It's like, well, no, slow down, buddy. You're not the fucking genius here. You said something crazy. Chat's gonna react to it. Don't get surprised when you get immediate pushback when you say good things can come from adults fucking kids. It's like, even if that's true, you have to acknowledge that obviously people are going to react negatively to that. And by the way, I don't think that's true. But I'm saying, even if you drop a hot take in chat that is verifiably true, maybe not this one, but a different one, expect to get pushback. Expect to actually have to, like, you know, put in some work to defend your ideals. Instead of just saying wild shit and expecting your audience to instantly believe it and agree with it. So yeah.
The outcomes of actions, not as an individual act, but from the rule of that. I agree with you, Hyena. The idea that these fringe cases exist at all is bad? No. I'm sorry. I believe in like defending my arguments with reality, not by lying to myself. If you're saying, oh well, your ethics are right, it's just morally wrong for you to say it's ever possible for a minor to benefit from having sex with an adult, then you're delusional. That's just not true. That's just factually not true. If you honestly can't conceive in the possibility space a minor benefiting emotionally in some way from having sex with an adult, then you're fucking delusional. You're lying to yourself.
If you don't think that a kid getting fucked by an adult could produce positive outcomes for the kid, you're just delusional. It's like, okay, dude. Wow. You're just being AIDS right now. I don't know. When was that clip? That was 2019. It was like August 2019. After the Vaush debate, someone posted on my channel that white people won, Indigenous people lost, and that they should stop whining about it. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all to see the cop enjoying a Vaush video. Oh my god.
No way, dog. No way.
A cop watching Vaush in their car. That's ironic. So who had the worst take, Vaush or Mr. Girl? Because I remember seeing a Twitter from Destiny that if Vaush wanted to use what Mr. Girl says to describe him as a pedo, then Vaush is hella worse because of the clips and logs that have been leaked about some pedo shit he said on Discord. What is this guy doing? Is that a stream sniper? Well, honestly, who said the worst shit? I think Mr. Girl. Mr. Girl literally called into Tommy C's show yesterday and said that the kids were hot and cuties. It's like, okay. I think Mr. Girl's probably said worse overall. That video is supposed to be fake though? Well, no, he defended it. His defense is that he says weird shit on purpose to make you think that he's weird. Which is a strange defense.